Hey guys, welcome to part 5C of the survival series that I'm doing, and this is going to be the third part to the infantry system. So today we're just going to look at finalising the actual infantry with a quick if statement to make sure that we can't actually make our health or thirst or whatever go up when we've actually run out of items, and that's going to be a quick line on each, and then we're going to look into picking up items that you might see within the game world. So I'm going to go on by when we cut down a tree, we're going to be able to pick up the log and we're going to add that to our inventory. So first of all, what we want to do is, like before, we want to open our infantry script. And I'm just putting this short bit in the beginning of this video because I forgot to put it in the last time I made a video. So if you find your infantry script and you go all the way down to where you talking about your GUIs and adding or taking away from your infantry and healing some damage or whatever we're doing, we want to look at the eat fish statement, and where it says the cooked fish minus minus and then we call the eat function, what we want to do is put a little line break in below the curly brackets which we've got inside the if statement for the button, and we want to say that if cooked fish is greater than or equal to 1, then we'll add one bracket facing away and then one bracket facing forward at the bottom, a curly bracket that is, and then just tab these two across to keep it nice and indented. So what this means is that it always show the button so we can eat the fish, but only if cooked fish is greater than or equal to 1 can we actually eat the fish, because obviously if we've got 0 we don't want to add anything to the health. So we're going to do exactly the same thing to every different one. So for the drink water section, we're going to say that if bottled water is greater than or equal to 1, then we'll add the curly bracket and tab across, and then we'll add the end curly bracket. And again for the last section, in its if statement, we'll say that if bandage is greater than or equal to 1, we'll add the curly bracket, tab across, and add the curly bracket to end. So now that'll mean that we can't actually ever go below a certain amount. We'll always have to have some items in our inventory. So as you can see, right, I've got the health of the food quite a ways down. If I eat the fish, goes down to 2, goes down to 1, goes to 0. If I click it as many times as I want, we can never go back up. And likewise with the drinking the water, and obviously if the health had gone down with a bandage. So that's just that bit ironed out. So you make sure that you just got a quick if statement within the button to make sure that if it's above 1, then we're obviously going to do something. So that's it for the main infantry section. Now we're going to move actually on to making the raycast. So we're going to be able to collect the pieces of wood that we've got in our scene. So what we'll do is we'll create a new script, and we'll create a JavaScript, and we'll call this JavaScript raycast collect. Doesn't really matter what you call it actually, because we're only going to reference it in the script later, so maybe just keep it the same with mine. So obviously I've got the raycast script open. I'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to delete the 2 functions at the top, and then we're going to start by, as I've done in many tutorials, writing the raycast. I'm going to say variable ray length as type integer equal to 10. Then I'm going to write a private variable called inventory as type capital inventory. Another private variable called GUI show as type boolean equal to false. Make sure that's got a semicolon. Then we're going to start by writing function start and then 2 curly brackets below. Then we're going to say inventory equals game object dot find open brackets first person controller, close that up, dot get component inventory with a capital. So that's just so we can find the actual inventory script. then we're going to start by writing our update function. So in the update function, we're going to write the raycast. So we'll say variable hit colon raycast hit with a semicolon. Then variable forward equals transform dot transform direction. Spelt transform wrong there. Open brackets vector 3 dot forward. Close that up, add a semicolon. Then we'll say that if physics dot raycast open brackets transform, but we want to make sure that's lowercase, dot position comma forward comma hit comma ray length. Close that up with two brackets, add two curly brackets below there, and we'll say that if hit dot collider dot game object dot tag is equal to, so for this instance it's going to be wood. We'll close that up, add two curly brackets below, then we're going to say GUI show is equal to true. Then within here we'll say that if input dot get key down open brackets E, close the brackets and the quotes, then two curly brackets below, and we'll say that inventory dot wood plus plus with a semicolon. That just means that we'll add one wood every time that we collect a piece. Then we'll say destroy hit dot collider dot game object. Close that up with a semicolon. Then we can also write that GUI show is then equal to false because we've picked up the item. Then what we want to be able to do is after these two curly brackets we want to say that else. We'll put two curly brackets below the else statement and say that GUI show is also equal to false, because what we want to do is if we're raycasting and we're not looking at the tag wood, then we don't want to show the GUI anymore. Then what we're going to do is add a function GUI down here. So we'll write function on GUI, two curly brackets below, and we'll say that if GUI show is equal to true, then we'll add two curly brackets in and say GUI.box open brackets rect open brackets again screen.width divided by 2 minus 150 comma screen.height divided by 2 minus 150 comma 100 comma 20. Close that up, add a comma, and then in quotes write whatever you want. So we can write pickup, then close the quote and put a semicolon. So I'll quickly run through this. So all we're doing is a normal raycast at the beginning. So we're just raycasting to find in a forward position, and we're looking for the tag wood. Then obviously if we're looking at the tag we'll show the GUI. Then if we press E whilst looking at the tagged item, we'll add something to our other inventory script, destroy the item that we're looking at, hit.collider.gameObject is whatever we're looking at, and then we will make sure the GUI is false. If we're not doing any of that, GUI will be false because we're obviously not looking at it, and we're just going to create a GUI on the screen width and height divided by 2, and then in a position, a scaling of 100 wide and 20 high to show that text. So what we'll do within Unity, we'll go to the main camera where we've got our other raycast script, and we'll add raycast collect. And then what you want to do is obviously, because our trees that we created before in here creates the logs that we're going to have. So on your prefabs for your logs, you want to make sure that it's got a tag of wood, because if not, obviously it won't work. So I'll make sure that the tree has got a tree health of 1, so when we hit it once it's going to fall. So if I go over to my tree and I hit it once, it's going to fall. And then what we're doing is see the logs. You can see that when we're looking at it in the center, obviously because this is only a small section, if we look away, we could do it. We'll pick up one pressing E, we'll pick up another, and pick up the other. And then we're looking at our inventory, and you'll notice that we've got 3 pieces of wood. Now my GUIs have gone down because I set them really fast for debugging. But you can see that you can change any of this for any items that you've got, whether it's, so you can add, all you can do is if you want to then check for another object, what we can actually do is that if you just add another if statement, so if you copy the entirety of this section here, you paste that in below. I'll just give a quick example, and we paste that in below here. What you want to do is then, if you've hit something else, so if you've hit coconut, as long as your coconut has got the same tag on it, then you can say and add whatever you want to your inventory. So you could add it to, for instance, cooked fish, if you wanted to class that as food. But obviously this is just an example of how you could do your own inventories and do your collecting. So that's pretty much the entirety of showing you the basics of just raycasting to then collect items to then add to your inventory. So you can take that however you wish. So thanks very much for watching, and as ever, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Cheers.